On today's show, I'm talking to Mike Kinsella. Mike is a multi-instrumentalist with a lot going on. He plays in a band called American Football, which is, you probably know of. He also has a solo project called Owen, and he just put out a new album called The Avalanche under that project header. But more than that, Mike is a very creative drummer. He played drums in another band called Cap'n Jazz and Joan of Arc, and I don't know, probably a bunch of other stuff. The Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Midwest. I'm sure all my friends involved in that scene would freak out if I did this. Like what you guys do. It's like all of Mike's projects are really cool. They all have a really interesting character to it, and some of it's not exactly what you'd expect. Hence the coolness. My conversation with Mike happened Wednesday, August 26th of 2020. Mike's the kind of guy who clicks the link on time. Oh, let's admit Mike. Hey! Hey, what's up, Mike? How's it going?
I'm good. I think I figured this shit out.
I like to think of myself as a technically savvy kind of person, and then I have to deal with anything new, and I'm like,
sure.
I just feel old.
Yeah. No, I mean, even just, I just feel stupid, like just pointing two cameras at me. I got used to one maybe, like a little bit, but like two is like, yeah.
Why is everything so complicated?
That's true.
Avril Lavigne was right, man.
she was right all along.
She was right all along.
If we learned anything this year, Avril Lavigne was correct all along. Yeah,
she was so right, man. I wonder what else she's got cooking up.
she's gonna tell us like she's Nostradamus. I can't wait to see what happens next. Yeah.
The next album is a series of quatrains. It's just like all lyrics are all just symbols. Dude, so how you doing?
I'm okay. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of about how I answer that. I'm okay, I think. It seems okay. So on the, if I take the micro level and I think like what's wrong now, there's not a lot that's really wrong, but I zoom out a little bit and I just get like anxiety to a large degree.
Yeah. I have a question. Does this podcast add to your anxiety, or does it like satisfy you in a way that alleviates that?
If you're really busy with things, you don't have time to really let dread take over.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's okay. Yeah. Good.
I just try to get into it whenever I can, which at the moment I have a lot of time to get into it.
Yeah. Because everybody does. Yeah.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Nothing to do. Yep.
How long did Avalanche is great, dude.
Thanks.
It's awesome. How that came out like a month ago?
It was delayed for a while. It's been done a while.
The thing that struck me about it is like right off the bat, it feels like there's a dynamic range to it that's like things breathe. Like my tendency is kind of like I'm guilty of maximalism and lots of compression.
Yeah.
And I don't even realize I'm doing it anymore. I'm just saying, oh, this sounds rad. Yeah, crank it, squash it. Yeah. Oh, sweet.
But that's how you hear it. I know exactly where every decision I make musically, I know exactly where it came from. Like, I know like, oh, this is why I want to play this thing for 8 minutes and not 1 minute, which would be normal. You know what I mean? Like, I know why I'm doing it. So all your stuff is super buttoned up, and it's because you know where that's just how you hear it. You know what I mean? When you're writing it, you hear it. So that's, yeah. So this was, I took demos up to Eau Claire with Sean S. Carey and Zach Hansen, and they live up there, and they hadn't, they heard the demos, but they haven't heard it. Like, they may have heard a couple lyrics. So like, there's a lot of room on there, and there's a lot of room, literal and figuratively. Yeah. Cause they were just like leaving room. Like, they don't know where the song's going yet. You know what I mean? Like, they hadn't heard the vocals. They hadn't heard, I just got a thing here. Sorry.
Restraint, because they're still feeling out the parts, still feeling out this. They're just kind of taking your word for it. Like, it's going
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'm like, oh,
He
there's
knows.
gonna be vocals here. Yeah, there's gonna be a thing here. I'm like, let's put some, beeps here, and let's have it escalate here. But there wasn't anything defined, or there wasn't much defined, and it was just us. It's like more exploring the whole time, it was so fun, and I trust them. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that with pretty much anybody else. There's like a very few.
I mean, if it's your record, I'd hope you trust the people.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an experiment. I don't know these people. I'm just gonna, it's gonna cost $10,000 for studio time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully cross our fingers.
I mean, something will happen.
For $10,000, something better happen. Yeah,
I know, right? Even with like the vocal passages, it's like you're not going all the time like full out. Like it's not like there's only a few parts where it sounds like it's like a full voiced, all your air, but a lot of it's more between like about 75% air to like 20 to like 15% air, and it's usually within the same line too. Like it'll peak out and then kind of dip back down, and then the end like the last consonant of a word will kind of like peak out. It's like,
I just like how detailed like it cracks me up. I mean, if you see the Pro Tools session, I'm like, those are all edits of like, I'll sing the same line 10 times and pick words, you know what I mean? Or I'll pick like the t at the end of a thing, like, oh, I like that. That said, I mean, I don't really have a singing voice. So it's the goal is to be sort of conversational. And then the goal, sort of when I sort of like got confident doing that, it took me a few albums, and it took me, you know what I mean? I was trying to like sort of fake sing maybe for a while, and I was trying to like hit notes in a way that I'm not capable of. And now that I got comfortable doing that, now it's almost like, well, now I want the conversation it's almost like theater. Like now I want the conversation to be believable. You know what I mean? Like now if I'm going to like kind of like talk, sing it or something, I want it to be like, well, how would you say that in the heat of a moment? Or like if you're trying to express something to somebody.
Yeah, it's like literally conversational. And you're not like full voiced all out. Like if you're talking to somebody, I mean, just like that too.
There was I'd say that one of the biggest fights on the last American Football album, and it's not, I mean, I can't sing like that. That's why I don't. However, there was a guitar harmony part that I wrote and I was excited about. And like, it made it to like the, I don't know, the eve of like mixing. And then everybody was like, fuck that guitar harmony. It's terrible. It's annoying. It sounds like Iron Maiden. Blah, blah. And like, I'm like, oh my God, nobody said anything up until this point. Like, I just thought it was cool and I liked it. And it turned into like a thing just because it was like this weird passive aggressive.
They were hoping you'd come around to realizing that they were right without saying it.
Sure. No, I was right still. It's cool. It was a great part. I try to do it live still. It's hard. And I know they're like looking at like, fuck that guitar harmony. The point is, I would totally go for it. If I could go for it, like if I had more, I'm working within like limited parameters in a lot of ways, and so if I could do more, I think I would. It's not even like I'm into hair metal. Like I would totally try to use my vocal.
Well, first off, guitar harmony is such a Midwest thing. Like I think Davey was the first person to mention guitar harmony to me, and I just loved it. And I brought it back to Arizona. That's so great. Like not many people yell out guitar harmony like when they're talking about things. It's rad. I mean, there's lots of people that have ability but lack musicianship. They're not kidding when they're saying the hardest note to play is a rest.
Like when you were saying how you want compression, I'm like, that's cool. You've made a niche. You hear things when you write stuff. You hear it that way. And that's why what you write is your stuff. And that's why it sounds like Jimmy World. And that's fucking great. Like, it's like indistinguishable. There's also parts from the last American Football album. There's like demos called like Jimmy World part. It's like, it's just like a jun, 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 jun. It's just like right on the beat. Like you have a thing you do and it's killer. And it's, yeah. And but you might be playing that part thinking, you're like, oh, I'm going to try to sound like, My Bloody Valentine right now. I'll put a little chorus on there. It just sounds like Jimmy World. You know what I mean? And I do the thing where I'm like, I'm going to sound like My Bloody Valentine. Everybody wants to sound like My Bloody Valentine. And I'll do the same thing. And it still just sounds like me no matter what I do. Like, I'll just put whatever pedal I'm hitting. Yeah.
There's that fundamental you.
I think that's cool, though. Like, I think maybe in your 20s or something, you're kind of like, self-conscious of that or something, or you're trying to like, maybe, or I guess teens into 20s, you're trying to mimic stuff more. You're like learning what you like and how to get, you're like, I like that. How did I get that? And then you try to figure it out. But like, as a grown man, it's like, I'm nothing but confident to be like, everything that comes out of me just sounds like me. Like, that's cool. You know what I mean? I understand there's a ceiling and how many people are going to appreciate it, but I'm also cool with that. I've accepted that. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. I guess it's just a confidence or something. I don't know. I hear it with your stuff though. I mean, you guys are doing, a while ago, you guys started recording yourselves. So you're like, we just want it to be what we're, you know what I mean? Like, we could do this. We can hear what I'm, we can record what I'm hearing. And
even when I tried to do like acoustic mellow stuff on my own, I still just squashed the hell out of it, and there's only so far I can get before like the bungee pulls me back into like the center of what I am.
Well, where did that come from? Like, what were you in your formative years sonically? What resonated with you so much that you're like, I want to like max shit out. I want it to be tight, everything in its place. Like, yeah.
I think, I don't even know. I mean, even like the cassette format 4-track demos that I have, I'd have put a click track on 4, do like a scratch guitar on 3, do drums on 1, do bass on 2, bounce those to 3 because I didn't want to leave the click. Then I would do 2 guitars. I would bounce that to track 4, so I have a mono track 4, and then it would be like off to the races, just like recording 2 things and bouncing that on 3, recording 2 more things, recording 2 more things, or recording 1 more. Just like how many ways can I stack things and then move them to like 1?
Well, that's and you have to find a place for all that too, which is that's like its own skill. I mean, that's like you said, that's like it's part of the writing now. So you're like this other part has to fit in this place. It can't just all be on top of each other. So
it's like that's how cool. Like I never write with just me and a guitar anymore. I might things might start that way, or I might be problem solving, but in my head,
acoustic or electric. Like, are you playing through an amp and stuff? Or are you
not around the house? Not usually. I mean, sometimes if I'm playing through an amp to write, it's because I've put down. Either I put down or Zach has put down like some kind of like drum pattern as a loop, as a basic kind of thing. But I would never just like pick up a guitar and like
just full volume on your,
like, oh yeah, it's a new song. Like I'd have to have something to respond to if I was playing electric, unless I was just checking out a new effect pedal. Then I would write something on a guitar. But so much of how I construct demo is now part of like the final product.
Yeah.
And then how much I construct the demo is how I think about writing. Like I said, I won't just play guitar normally as a place to start. It has to be like, there has to be like a couple steps ahead that pop into my mind before I really start exploring an idea. I was wondering that about you, like because you're like a good drummer, like you have that ability to think ahead with like whether, if you're messing around, if you're jamming on drums or whatever, you probably like, oh, this would be kind of cool here, like either a melody to yourself or.
Totally. Yeah, I know. Yeah. The easy ones, I mean, I definitely know. I'm thinking this last album, like there was one, it's one of my favorite songs in the last album, but it took us forever to figure out the drum beat, which is funny for me. It started as an American football demo. We brought it into like a studio and demoed and stuff. And for like the last album, it's called On With The Show now. On the Owen album, it's called On With The Show. It had different words with the same melody and the same guitar part. And I know exactly, I'm like, oh, this guitar part sounds like The Cure. I just like this one guitar part. We fooled with it. We're like, I mean, we got so far as we're like, oh my God, now we have to bring acoustic guitars on tour if we put this song on the album. You know what I mean? It got that far. We were kind of like writing the song together, and then it wasn't good, or it just wasn't the vibe. Yeah. But this is, I guess, back to your question, that was like one song I couldn't figure out. I didn't know the drums in my head. And then Sean took a pass. I recorded it to a click. I knew I wanted the song. Like I just right. This song has to happen. I just don't know what it is. Sean took a pass and he had like this weird stutter beat. And then once he did that, I was like, that's the drums, cool. And then I redid them sort of like, it made sense to me to make them like, but yeah. For me, it's like, I guess it's sort of the same as me hanging out in a room. It's like I either like see it and feel it or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't like, yeah, like that song. I mean, I can't tell you, it's probably been 2 or 3 years that I'm just like sitting on it. Like, I know this is a thing. I don't know what it is. You know, that one just, I couldn't see it for 2 years or something. But like other songs, I'm like, oh, cool. The drums are here, and then I go double time here, and then I just know it.
It kind of leapfrog builds on itself.
Absolutely.
And you can see the next, you can see the next move as you're laying down the first thing, or the next couple possible moves.
I see a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, I see, I just, or I'll be like, okay, cool. That's like, I got a couple lines for the verse and I got one line in the chorus, and there's going to be more, but I'll just put that aside. I'll be like, cool, that song's pretty much done. In my mind, I'm like, that's the hard part. Like, what is this song? It's sort of like I've gathered all the ingredients and I preheated the oven. You know what I mean? Like, all I have to do now is I'll get in the studio and I'll put it in a pan and cook it. But it's kind of, I'll flesh it out later. But
get into the studio, sprinkle a little cheese on it and bake it.
Just cheese. Yeah, cheese. Heat it up. Like more salt than you think. Yeah, garlic powder. Every song is the same. A lot of oregano.
Do you have like a set, speaking of seeing things in your head as you're working, is there a kind of song structure that you sort of work within or have as a basic place? Like, okay, in my head, I'm seeing this kind of part comes next, and this sort of after like, or at the end of the song, it could cycle down or end in a couple different ways. Which one is this feeling like? I mean, is there like a favorite structure that you like?
I like to get a whole first verse established. Like, this is the vibe, this is the song, and get to like some sort of chorus. Maybe I don't put lyrics on the first chorus. Maybe it's like a guitar solo. So you're like, oh, that part, and something new happens, cool, and then a vibe. But then the next time, then a verse comes back. Maybe the guitar solo, like something or a solo carries it through to the next verse. It's like transition, and then I don't know. Yeah, I don't love verse, chorus, and then then let's explore. Like, I like to sort of like, I want something more to happen. That's usual on this album. I think there's one part on the whole album that's in like an odd time signature, and there's a lot of verse, chorus. It was sort of like just sort of where I was at. Like, I didn't really have the mental capacity to try to like do the homework, I guess. I mean, I think the songs benefited from it, but I think, it was just like, this sounds good, I'm going to keep going. This sounds good, I'm going to keep going.
The conversation kind of benefits from it because like the words are, you're being constantly engaged in that level instead
less distracting,
of
right? You're not like, oh, what was that? Like, why did we go over here? Yeah, exactly.
Instead of having to fill in the question marks as a listener, filling in the question marks with your own place in the breaks or in the builds or in the swells. It's like you're constantly, this is the conversation's going here. It's going here. It's going here.
There's a Jackson C. Frank. There's a bunch of them that all he did, he's like an old folk dude. He just played one part over and over. It's just like, I'm like, oh my God, 4 minutes just went by. And like, that was the song,
the lungfish of folk.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a value to that. Totally. I mean, yeah, I hear these like math rock bands now and I'm just like overwhelmed, and I don't, I'll take them to bed. I'll like lay down and be like, no, I'll try to figure it out still, but I don't like it. There's a difference between like, I still want to do the work, but I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So
there's a place for that. There's a place to be engaged. Sometimes you just want to.
It may have
been not all the time.
It may have been in my youth, though. You know what I mean? It may have been before I spent the whole evening making a dinner and then cleaning up a dinner. You know what I mean? Like, before I had nothing to do, so I'm like, oh fuck, like I'm gonna find out where those snare hits are. Like, I'm gonna memorize
shred.
Absolutely, yeah. And it doesn't. I'm just like, well, fuck that. Like,
yeah. I think you gotta have. It's nice to have that in the bag, as a place you can go when you want to employ it. Now it's just a tool.
Sure.
And
right.
I think
I could use that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. As you get older and as you produce more work and have more experience, it's just, you have it's not a default place you want to go. It's now something you employ intentionally rather than like, I'm just going to shred because this is good.
It's just, that's like not the song. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, what's the song? Like that thing, that could be a transition. It can happen once. There's a stupid, I mean, I know when I'm doing it, I'm even just like, why it has to have a purpose. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Why
am I doing this, every time? Maybe I'll do it every other time. Does that keep it like interesting, but still keep it moving? Or, okay, every 4 times, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's a place, but it doesn't have to be.
If I had to say the one thing that's different about when I started versus where I'm now, it's intentionality. Like everything I do, and it kind of works against me sometimes because then I start judging things before they've taken on a structure where I should be judging them. I'll judge them way earlier, but just intentionality. Why is this here? How is this serving like
what's
the theme?
Yeah.
How is this serving the on a basic level, just the mood of it all? Like, is it adding to it or is it distracting?
You've probably gotten rid of some stuff that like could have been the thing, but you don't know. You're doing the best you can. I mean, whatever. Like I'm sure I have notes on my phone that like, at some point I dismissed them, but I'm like, if I spend an evening working on this thing, it could be a cool thing for sure. But you move on. And I mean, also, I feel like I'm just like more like selfish in a way. Like I just want to make myself happy. Like I'm not like more than ever. I'm just like this. I don't even care about this. Like if I'm doing, I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't want to do it.
Right. Are you stretching out because it's something that you feel is exciting for you, or are you just doing it because you can?
No, I think it excites me. I think I have new interests. I think I have new, honestly, since March, I've got this new appreciation just for like playing. I'm like, holy shit. Like I want people to hear shit I'm working on. Like I took it for granted forever. And now I'm like, this is, I'm sitting on these things. I'm like, this is a cool part. I'm on my Instagram, just like play a cool part and whatever. Like, it's just, I didn't even know, like I honestly thought I hated playing live. And now I'm like, well, I kind of like getting in front of people and playing and people like it. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. So, I didn't. Now I know,
playing stuff that you did in front of people who like it is kind of it's a good thing.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
I miss it. I miss it too.
I also miss like when we had a night off in Tokyo and we got to see you guys.
Yeah.
I also miss seeing other people play live and do stuff that
I know.
So fun.
That's another reason I wanted to start doing this, is to see everybody I would have seen if I was on tour. Like, hey, you're not doing anything.
Crossed paths. Yep.
I'd probably have a pretty good chance of catching you.
What is can you talk like what's the next thing you guys have planned?
I think realistically is try to put together some sort of streaming event.
Okay.
Since we can't get in front, we're all getting really itchy to play.
Yeah. That's what you say. There's no, I'm trying to think. I've rebooked shows, twice now. They were put off to fall and now they're put off till next spring or summer and
next spring.
Yeah, I know, but who actually knows? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Where are the opportunities in this? So it's like, we can't do what we ideally want. Are there opportunities to do something different?
Yeah.
So we're just trying to figure out what that might be and what that might look like. And
the hard part is that what different now seems normal. Like it's been long enough where now it's like, like for a week or two, it was like, oh, cool, I'm going to watch that guy. He's going to play songs in his bedroom. And I'm like, holy fuck, I'm sick of watching myself and everybody play songs in the bedroom. Like I want to, I want some pyrotechnics or something. Like entertain me.
Yeah.
Instead of just like sit there and play your songs. I'm just saying that's the only option. There's nothing else to do but
pyro. I'm just going to start blowing stuff up on YouTube and see how that goes.
Yeah. Or just at least there has to be like a pyro filter. You can just put in the background.
Yeah.
Make it
maybe on this I'll just edit in flames behind you for most of the interview.
I was gonna do a thing. I was gonna sit in front of a projector and I was gonna have like a horror movie just playing behind me and just see like how, if you wanted to talk about it or if you didn't talk about it, I think that'd be funnier. But just like whatever's happening behind me.
Yeah, I'd probably just go with it.
Yeah, good. But I should have done it. I also didn't want to like, make it a thing. I don't know. I'm always torn between like
this. Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got the kids today.
Yeah, it's just
kids are watching. That
is just Wednesday.
Yeah,
that's what we do around here.
It's just Reanimator.
Yeah,
Reanimator Wednesdays.
Do you have any sort of home work space?
Honestly, I do most of my demos literally on my phone, on GarageBand on my phone. Like I said, like if I already see what's going to happen, I don't feel the need to dial in tones. I'm just like,
okay,
I'll like do like some sample of my voice being like a wobbly thing, like a background ooh and ah, and I just be like, okay, that's a placeholder. I know that's going to be there.
So you kind of like gather things, and you don't spell out too much before you actually make it for real.
I'm like the opposite of prolific. Would that be? Is there another word besides? What's the antonym for prolific?
Non.
It's not laziness. It's just I just can't. Like I would love to like churn shit out, but like I said, I'll just kind of move on. I'll do a guitar part. I'll put a thing on it. I'll get like one little verse, and then that verse will sit for a year before.
Yeah.
Maybe Polyvinyl's like, you put out a new record. And I'll be like, okay. And a light will click. And I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to sit. I'll sift through the demos. I'll find 15 that I like. I'll work on them until, 5 of them get sort of like pushed aside because I wasn't interested. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully 9 out of 10 make a record or something like that. Yeah.
That's cool. I found when I do that, like I have a lot of voice memos sitting around. Mm-hmm. And some many years have been waiting to be played for mining. And when I do that, it's almost like since enough time has gone by, it's like it's not me. It's like somebody else in the band playing a riff for me to check out and respond to. Like I forget that I did it, but in the back of my subconscious, I have the next step that I was thinking of.
Yep.
And it's like, oh yeah, cool. This. All right, cool. And it happens.
What's funny about that, like knowing yourself, is when we started doing American football shows, I had no idea the tunings. I didn't like try to play the songs in 15 proper years or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's play these shows. Okay, pour myself a drink. Here I go. See what happens. I got to learn these songs. I got to learn how to sing them. I never actually sang them, like whatever. And so a bunch of them I learned. A bunch of them, I haven't even still to this day ever listened to the whole song. I just learned what I would do. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, that sounds like it. What would I do? Okay, I would do that. And that must be the song. And then now we've written around that. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're really close because I did them. But yeah, it's like a weird muscle memory. Yeah. I mean, some of them are in different tunings, but I'm like, well, this is easier. I'm just going to do this. And this sounds like it approximates what I'm trying to do, and then that's the song now. And yeah, it's like I kind of like rewrote my own part though, which is funny because you wouldn't think you'd have to. I don't know, or I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't think you'd have to play American football songs. So
we'll never come back to this.
Yeah, fuck this. Yeah, chop off this hand. So.
I've done that, like where I can't remember. Obviously, I was in a phase where I was messing with alternate tunings. Or I had a capo on at some random fret, I don't remember, or maybe a combination of both, but this idea is cool. How did I get that? I have no idea.
That's got all my notes start with, I play open with the
you describe it out. Okay, so this is an idea. Open, dad gab, it's like, capo 3rd fret.
I don't know the notes. I just play the notes then. Because I
was in tune to it.
I'll learn it later. Yeah. I'll learn later. But it's like, bow, 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 bow. Capo 3. Every song starts like that. Whatever, like and then I'll figure it out. And then if you have that, you can figure out the positions.
Right. You can get back to that starting place at least.
Stupid. So you're writing mostly in standard recently, or drop D a little bit?
Yeah, it's probably about 97% drop D and standard. Like on every album, there's probably like one song that's in standard. Mm-hmm. Actually, on the latest album, we have 2 that's in standard. I don't know. I got really into drop D for a while, and then it was hard to break out of that.
I definitely start there. All my, if I pick up a guitar, I got a couple laying around. Like, I don't know what tuning they're in, but they're all, it's either D-A, D something, or C-G-C. Like, that's sort of that's where it starts.
Having those bottom, like 2 or maybe 3 strings that you can hit open and it sounds like something already is kind of it's hard to break out of that.
Yeah. I mean, you're playing with a drummer who's hitting hard and stuff. So you got to keep up. You want all the shit to ring as big as you can. So.
Right. Yeah.
How's Zach doing? I miss Zach. I feel like when you guys would tour, I would see him a couple times a year or something. And
yeah, he's doing good, man. He started a sports podcast.
I think I saw that. Yeah,
he's really good at that too. It's like I was like, of course he did. That's so good.
Cool. Yeah,
he should be doing that.
Like, maybe that wouldn't have happened had the world not gone into quarantine. You know what I mean? That's cool. That's a good way of like figuring out new normal. That's great.
I'm definitely in the stage of grieving where I think I'm in true acceptance.
Yeah.
For a while, I was sort of in fake. I was in shock.
Yeah.
I was in shock, telling myself I was in acceptance.
Yeah.
And
no, you're lying to yourself, and you're like, oh, whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's how I might still be there. I don't know. I'm still kind of like.
I mean, do you really know then? Are you in shock still, telling yourself you're in acceptance? I mean, that's entirely possible. I could be in that. I feel a little bit better, but I don't know.
Yeah, that'll change. By the evening, that'll probably change. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see an end to it, though. That's the problem. I'm like, I believe there's been many points, I guess, where I've convinced myself. I'm like, cool, we'll get through this, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, acceptance, like, okay, cool. Like, every time I rebook a new tour or something, I'm like, cool, everybody's confident this is going to happen. It's going to be great. And then these benchmarks, and it's just not viable. And yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I was Googling like bicycle delivery jobs. I'm like, what do I like to do that I can get paid for? Mm-hmm. And it turns out I don't like to do anything as much as I like to play music and travel.
Well, no, of course not.
So
if you did, you'd be doing that already. I mean, it's not like,
I guess, yeah.
There's a big trade-off to do this and make it your life. So if it's not the thing you want to do, then you would have bailed.
Then, yeah. I still think there's a lot of things I would deliver on a bicycle for free. I don't even need to get paid. I enjoy it. But if I look at like the fine print of like just being on a clock and having these like timelines, I'm like, oh, I can't actually do it. I don't know. So
dealing with customer service when people are pissed you didn't show up in their timely fashion.
Yes. Whatever their life. Yeah. I don't want to be responsible for I guess that's a thing. I've been on my own schedule for so long. You know what I mean? Like, I work in this, it's obviously a community of managers and agents and label, and everybody's working together. But like, I have my own schedule. I can make it. And even if it's like, generally I'm saying like, I mean, you're used to having 2 years planned out, right? I mean, what you're going to do for 2 years, and then you just sort of put your head down and do it. And then you kind of like have a second to like, you take your head out of the water, and then you, maybe get a little break, and then you do it again. But
what I do is I take the furthest thing out, and then I walk it back with like, okay, when that happens, what's the deadline before that? What's the deadline before that? What do I have to do to make that happen? How long is that going to take? Mm-hmm. When do I have to start? And I get basically to the point where, what am I doing tomorrow?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. But there's also, I'm saying like there was a satisfaction, or at least like just knowing what I was going to be, where I was going to be. It's on my calendar where I'm going to be, 14 months from now, was like, okay, like you said, you can walk it back mentally, like just going to bed every night. But now, I mean, making money is one thing, but just like getting any sort of satisfaction and seeing friends and traveling and all of it, it's like, there's no answer to it. And the unknown is like sort of crippling. Maybe
it makes you think that it's kind of an illusion that any of it was really in your control.
Sure.
And that's the reality is it's all just up to you with what you're going to do that day. Mm-hmm. It's an illusion that things are going to things stay the same. And what you can control and what you can't.
It has done nothing except highlight how unessential what I do was. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. Like, this doesn't need to happen. Yeah, obviously, like you're gonna play your sad songs in front of people, like no. And I'm like, oh cool. Like, well shit, what do I do then? Like I got used
in a survival sense, maybe not, but in a life worth living sense, greatly.
For me, sure. That's what I want to do. But yeah. I guess when it got broken down to survival for a while, and I'm just not, are we out of that phase though? That's what I mean. Like, it's just weird. Like, okay, now, I mean, for me, I got kids and so school's starting. So that's like a benchmark where I'm like, oh, for maybe until only a week or two ago, we didn't know if the kids are going to go back to school or not. I mean, we knew we were keeping our kids home, but if the school's CPS was going to be open. So it's just like, that's sort of like the overall, because that depends or that influences how my day-to-day life is going to be lived. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do I have kids at home e-learning? Do I have kids like, is everything be normal? And so it's, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I was kind of like, oh, that's in the future. We'll figure that out when it happens. It's happening now. You know what I mean? So in a week, I got to deal with that. And I have a whole new routine or whatever. But just doing that then makes whatever the music stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, well, that's, like I said, unessential. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is the day to day. Like, I got to, either way, these kids got to eat dinner. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just so spoiled is what I'm saying. Like, I was so spoiled to be able to go on vacation literally whenever I wanted. I'm like, set up some shows on this weekend. I want to go see this city. I want to eat this food. I want to do whatever. I want to play this show. And then all of a sudden, yeah.
It feels selfish in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
it's tough because when you're at a place like where you can do those gigs and it does buy groceries.
Mm-hmm.
It's
but
not.
That said, it's not any more selfish than like, some businessman or some sales dude who's complaining that he can't do his sales job anymore. And, like just
right.
Advertising, whatever, like, well, that's not essential. You don't need to like come up with a clever campaign to sell whatever, you know what I mean? Like it really, everything was very clear about what's essential. Like we need grocery store people. We need the post office. We need Wi-Fi to stream fucking shows from our living room. Yeah. Like that's essential, but I'm not saying we are as unessential as everybody else or most everybody else. Sorry, Jim.
No, it's cool, man. I still haven't truly accepted that this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I there's a part of me that thinks like this is going away at any second.
Do you want me to break it to you that this is what you do when you've been doing it for 25 years?
It was about like 2011, 2012 that I kind of came to a little that cracked. It got its foot in the door a little bit. Like this is kind of what I do now.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I'm going to write songs and I keep doing that. Yeah. Keeps happening.
Yeah. This is our third time going to Japan. Is this what I do?
Yeah.
Am I just doing this? Is it really? I still don't buy into it 100% that this is what I do.
That's good. That's,
I mean, I don't take any of it for granted and it can all go away. So you might as well go for it. You might as well put it all on the line. You might as well like put everything that's you into your work because that's the only thing you really do have is your work at the end of the day and being proud of your work.
I think that's just what we started with. Like you have your own voice and your own way, like the way you hear things, and that has sustained where you're at. Yeah. I mean, where we're at, I put that in quotes, is like, that's going to keep changing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, you guys have ridden a roller coaster, right? I imagine you had hits and then maybe you try to do that again and maybe you don't. And then maybe, So, I haven't had like that. Mine's been like pretty steady and it's fine. It's great. Like I said, like I got used to it. I got used to just like the routine of leaving for a little bit, coming home, leaving, coming home. For you, maybe you've like busted the ceiling open further and now you can see even further. So there's like even more maybe that you're missing or more that you're capable of getting. I don't know.
I mean, we still try to shoot for improvement. We still try to like think about how we can grow, but we do realize at the end of the day, a lot of that's not up to us. And if we don't come up with something that we feel is great for us personally as just musicians, then nobody else is gonna buy into that.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. Yeah, whatever. I saw you guys with Promise Ring in '95 or whatever, like '97, whatever. I mean, just like I know you guys are. You're like one of a few bands that somehow you keep doing it and it worked and it's awesome. It's crazy. It's actually, if I think about it, it blows my mind to think about like the rooms we were all in and then the fact that,
No, it is totally crazy. Like, have you been to an emo night?
I DJ'd an emo night.
You DJ'd an emo night?
I DJ'd an emo night. I was late, so I didn't really get to play any songs, but
Were people bummed out at your playlist? Or did you give them red meat?
My playlist, I will DJ every emo night if I can just play Van Halen, and I'm not gonna, I'll show up as an emo representative. I'm not gonna play emo.
A spokesperson.
Yeah, liaison. Knighted. I think I've been knighted. So
no, but it's just funny to like how big that is, and to think about like the month-long tours we did playing to 6 people in some kid's basement.
That's what I'm saying. What is the place in Champaign? I like vividly remember. I mean, I've seen a bunch of your shows like back in the day. Like, you guys were like the first band to like have, I don't know, maybe tuners. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they sound good. Why do they sound so good and full?
They're tuning.
Yeah. Oh my God, all the guitars in the same tune. Yeah. Like
we did month-long tours without tuning once, I think. I feel bad for anyone who saw us on that.
I mean, just in a basement and everybody, all 6
You can't hear anything anyway. It's just loud.
They were all screaming into the mic. Yeah. It's just a basement PA and
Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny? Like I used to load in like an SVT cabinet and half stacks into a basement with like the crappiest vocal only PA and thought that was rad. Just killing people.
I'm blaming I'm blaming me never getting good at the drums because I learned to play drums trying to keep up with these big amps in basements. I just kept trying to hit harder and harder. Right. And that's all I did. And then I never learned any technique. I never learned any finesse. Yeah. I never learned anything. I mean, I just remember like I would put my cymbal just whatever way I can hit it the loudest. You know what I mean? Like I called that, my style. And then whatever way I can hit the snare was,
Right. I used to be really focused on technique. I had really good instructors when I started playing guitar, and doing the thing like where it's like if this is your guitar, having like the like your that part of your finger is like aligned with the fret, and you just sort of work your way up and down with like your thumb in the middle back there, and like I was really good with technique.
Is that a vape?
No, it's just a vape. No, it's a.
I don't even know what a vape is. I'm just kidding. I'm seeing things. Yeah, I didn't learn any really technique, so that's beneficial now.
After like a year or so on the road, that went out the window, and I've just kind of
just trying to keep up with the
trying to keep up with the crash cymbal in my left ear. I just threw that all out the window.
See, we're coming at it. It's like we're married and like, you're like, you never take the garbage. I'm like, yeah, because I'm doing the dishes. Like
it's an arms race.
I'm hitting the crash because you keep turning your amp up, dude.
I know.
Like
Quit playing so loud. Quit turning up.
Yeah, quit
playing so loud. Quit turning up.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong.
I know. It's like I remember seeing Archers of Loaf play, and it was like Eric Bachman had a champ, and I was thinking like, wow, that's so not. Loaded. That's so. Whoa, is that rock? And then I realized like it's like it's so unnecessary in a basement, and the bigger you get from there, the less important it really is. Because it's like,
right, you're still just putting a mic on it and projecting it. Yeah,
like you would never think about how much more room you'd have in a van if you just all toured with champs.
Mm-hmm. I got my daughter the tiniest. It's like 1 10-inch speaker orange amp.
Those sound great.
That sounds great. I can't stop playing it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna. This is all. I'm gonna record albums with this, and yeah. That's great.
I've annexed musical equipment I bought for my kids over the years too. It's like you're not using this quite as much. Hey, can I borrow that?
Yeah, I'll hold this for you. Yeah.
It's like, and it like lives over here or something in my studio now. Like
that's all their racks of gear is.
Yeah, that's all my kids line 6 pedals
just Christmas
over there.
presents. Yeah, that's what you get them for Christmas, and then when they don't use them,
I know.
I'll take them off.
Hey, you mind if I take that API lunchbox that I got you for?
Fine now.
One of the things that unifies people across the board with any sort of creative struggle is, and what I try to get at it with this whole thing is, I mean, I love nerding out on the tech aspect of it all because I'm a total geek that way. But like when it comes down to it, there's this point where no one's going to do the heavy lifting for you. For me, that's like the getting in my own way with exploring, you know, because like there's that point where it's like I'm just going. This is the next step. It comes to me. I'm taking it. That leads to like this other thing. I'm taking it. But then when I get too present with myself, and what I was saying earlier about like the intentionality and some of the detriment of that is judgment. Like that's really the barrier, I think, for me that prevents me from writing like 6 albums a year is like running into that and just dead stopping. Is there something like that for you that
Absolutely. I'm wondering like, man, why don't you write 6 albums a year? Like if you have the time and you like, if that stuff's coming out, I mean, especially now, like just put out so many B-sides and finish some stuff, flesh them out. I mean, there's just like, now it's different than it was like 10, 20 years ago. Like you used to have to like write a proper album and it'd be like released as an album, like a CD or something. Now you can just like finish a song, any idea you have, finish it, call it a thing, put it up there. People will appreciate it. I mean, I'm just thinking of like old bands, like anytime, you know, any Smiths, anything. I would listen to the Smiths eating lunch. Like whatever, like anything they did, I'd be like so stoked to hear. If you can do that, I'm saying you should do that. I have that. Like I said, I don't write a lot, or I don't finish a lot. I also drink a lot though, which if you're not drinking, you're going to have,
I don't know,
maybe that guard, you know, and that's part of my process is like, you know, I don't book it, but I'll plan. I'll be like, I'll commit to like, this is a night I'm going to go to my practice space and I'm going to drink until whatever comes out. And then I'll edit later. The editing is kind of fun. It's almost like discovery, but like the writing part, there is drinking involved. So I'm not as like locked down as you are on yourself. You know what I mean? Like I'm just sort of more open in that stage.
You don't
letting it out is a different thing.
You're less likely. Yeah. I mean, I can see the benefit of that. Like you're less likely to kind of really stop the train and say, well, what is this? What's the point of this? Like you're just, no man, we're going. A ton
of wasted stuff. But I mean, if I could do that process more often, I would be more productive, but there's not a lot of nights. That's literally part of my process. So I can't commit to many nights just drinking, you know, and like only drinking. Like that's all I have to do, nice drink. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to like type shit out and write stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I think drinking or not drinking, that's still just me, and it doesn't matter. Like I'm still going to bump up against it. And have to figure out.
Man, your bandmates aren't like just like bugging you. Like, come on, man, that was a cool demo. Let's just do something with it.
Sometimes like there's always like a couple songs that we'll say this isn't finished yet. Doesn't have lyrics on it. I do have a good idea for the melody and phrasing, but it's not finished. Doesn't have lyrics on it. Like, you know, but like, I mean, it could be like 6 years from now I finished lyrics for it, or it could be tonight.
Are you confident though that it's like fleshed out and like if the whole thing existed and you can track it yourselves, like spend a weekend, just make like, I don't know. It sounds like you got a ton of stuff. Just like
we have a lot of stuff like that where the idea in my head that I heard is probably a little bit more advanced than the reality of what it all is, or it's like or like thematically, I just can't. You know, like I take the direction and I start exploring something, but then
I say this all the time. Like I'm always, I'll tell my friend, I'll be like, oh my God, I had the best night. I just connected these dots. And it could be like I could be, like I said, I'm sitting on one verse, one line or something. And then if I come up with one other thing that it just connects, then the whole song, I'm saying, like, it opens up to me. We're like, oh, that's what this is about. That's what this is.
Right.
I'm starting a Patreon. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start that soon. And I had to write like an about, like what about me or about Patreon or whatever. And I was like stuck. I'm like, I don't know what it's about. Like, I have no clue. Like I'm doing it out of necessity because I can't play shows. So I'm like, I just, whatever I want to do it. I want to do something, whatever.
Right.
But so anyways, the point is the thing I wrote, I think it's great. I love it because I wrote this thing about seeing Elliott Smith live years ago and nobody cared. But I was kind of like, it really influenced me. Like, he's just doing it. He doesn't care if anybody cares. He's just doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that stuck with me. But I mean, like, that's sort of if that's the about me, if that's framing the Patreon, then I can do whatever I want. That's the whole point. Like, if I wrote about me, I really want to, show you my new songs. Well, shit. Now these are the parameters. I have to show you my new songs. But if the about me is, oh my God, I saw this guy once that I totally respect play a terrible show, and I loved it. Well, now anything I do, like, I can't fail now. You know what I mean? Now I invoke the confidence that he had, or the will, I guess, that I don't know. Anyways, the point is same with like songs. Like, once if I can crack this one thing in a song, like the song now exists. Like, I don't have to finish it for it to exist. It already exists because I already know where it's going to go. So, oh man, let me finish your songs, Jim. Jesus. I bet they're great. I bet they're fucking great.
Oh man.
I bet they're great songs. I bet they're like worthy of finishing.
Yeah. No, I mean, they will. It's just, it might not happen
That's a long time,
not happen exactly in the time frame that I'm hoping, but it always does, eventually. Man, well, thank you so much for hanging out, Mike. It's been about an hour here. I don't want to keep you.
No worries. But, that's great.
Sweet, man. Well, I'm excited to see what you come up with there. And that's super cool. Like, I love that. Like the Patreon, like what is it? I don't know. Whatever you want. Short stories.
It's not just me playing songs though. It's going to be me doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
Cuz anyways, you got me like in this, you got me worked up. I'm trying to commit myself to do it.
Anything you want to, any idea you want to chase, it's like, now is the time to just do it. Like, it doesn't matter.
Dude, we just talked about all these demos. You're not chasing it. Anyways, I don't want to.
I got to start chasing the demos, dude. Mike Kinsella, everybody. I don't know if I would pay to listen to the Smiths just eat lunch, but I like the idea that you're just producing art, you're producing content, you're producing content. Content is such a lame word. Instantly, there's this transactional kind of nature to it, and it could be worthless. I guess there's not really any other word that's appropriate to describe, whatever you want. Media, video, audio, writing. I wonder if I could start a Patreon page of just like my favorite McSweeney links. I wonder if anyone would be down for that. Probably not. Be sure to check out The Avalanche, Mike Kinsella's new solo album under the project name Owen. It's very conversationally chill. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today, you guys. I'll see you next week.